Peace and happiness for everyone. Torat Adonai temima meshivat nafesh. The Torah of Hashem is honest and faithful, teaching us to be honest and faithful, and it restores our soul. The story of the Torah, of the Tanach, is about Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael. The Torah guides Am Yisrael how to live in Eretz Yisrael so that Am Yisrael will flourish and fulfill our mission in Eretz Yisrael. The Torah guides us and tells us what we must not do in Eretz Yisrael so that we can stay and live in Eretz Yisrael and won't once again go out to exile, to Galut. And the story of the Tanach is almost 100% about Am Yisrael. Here and there are mentions of some of the other nations, mostly about the relationships, usually the wars, the dangers between Am Yisrael and other nations. The story of the Tanach is almost 100% about Am Yisrael, how Am Yisrael should live in Eretz Yisrael in order to fulfill the mission that Hashem gave us. With this in mind, it's interesting to notice that the first two parshiot of the Torah, Bereshit and Noach, rush us through 20 generations of mankind before we meet Avraham Avinu, before there is Am Yisrael. I think of it like a locomotive, like a train that's traveling very, very, very fast, rushing through 20 generations, and suddenly you hear this big screech, and the train slows down, it doesn't come to a halt, and it starts going gradually, generation after generation. Avraham and Sarah, Yitzchak and Rivka, Yaakov, Rachel and Leah, and so on. So if the story of the Tanach is almost 100% about Am Yisrael in Eretz Yisrael, why does the Torah and the Tanach start with this rush through 20 generations of mankind before we meet Am Yisrael? It seems to be clear that the Torah is telling us, yes, this is going to be about Am Yisrael, but Am Yisrael is not about Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael's mission is for all of mankind, for all of humanity. Am Yisrael's mission is universal. The Torah has to go through the first 20 generations telling us how it didn't work with everyone, and it has to be a mission that is now going to be given to one nation, to Am Yisrael, for all of humanity, for Tikkun Olam, for bringing the whole world back to its tikkun, back to its perfection. So yes, the story is about Am Yisrael, but Am Yisrael is about all of humanity, all of mankind. It's interesting to note that the Sheva Mitzvot Bnei Noach, the 7 Noahide laws, their source is in these two parshiot, Bereshit and Noach. The 7 Noahide laws are the prohibition about not to murder, about incest, about not worshipping idols, believing in one God, in Hashem. And then, if you want to know the other 4, it goes through Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Daled. Aleph is Ever Milachai, even when an animal is permissible to be eaten. It's permissible to eat that animal. You cannot eat the animal while it's still alive. The Bet is Birkat Hashem, not to curse Hashem, using the word bracha as a subtle way to say not to curse Hashem. Gezel and Dinim, not to steal anything, and you have to have a moral judicial system. And these are the 7 Noahide laws, and these 7 laws are detailed into all kinds of details, but these are the 7 mitzvot b'nei Noach. It's interesting to note that there are communities of Noahide people around the world, non-Jews, who keep these 7 mitzvot b'nei Noach. They believe in the Torah, and they believe it is their responsibility to keep Sheva mitzvot b'nei Noach. Some of them even consult with rabbis, that is Jewish rabbis, about what non-Jews should do, how they should fulfill the 7 mitzvot b'nei Noach. It's also interesting to note that much of the modern Western world, not completely, but keeps and believes and identifies in several of these 7 mitzvot b'nei Noach, but it's not clear that it's done for religious reasons. Sometimes they have come to identify with it because it's become the norm in the world, and these are considered moral things in the world today. Again, not all of the 7. And the Rambam makes an interesting note that a non-Jew who keeps the 7 mitzvot b'nei Noach, because he believes in the Torah, he is one of Chasidei Umot HaOlam. He is one of the pious of the Gentiles. But what if he keeps the 7 mitzvot b'nei Noach, but not because of a religious belief? It's very interesting. The Rambam says he is not one of Chasidei, one of the pious Chasidei Umot HaOlam. And then he says, and there's a difference of one letter, either he says, Ela michachmehem, he is not one of the pious, but he is one of the wise men, or he says, Velo michachmehem, he's not pious, nor is he wise, and it's only a difference between the Vav and the Aleph. What was written in that original manuscript of the Rambam, Velo michachmehem, or Ela michachmehem. Knowing the Rambam and his opinions, I would say it's probably Ela michachmehem. He is a wise person. It's better to believe in Hashem and the Torah and accept the 7 mitzvot bnei Noach as a non-Jew because you believe that Hashem commands them to all of the people in the world. If it's not the Rambam, then I would prefer to accept that opinion, but it's an interesting question. Sometimes when I speak about this issue, that the mission of Am Yisrael is for the whole world, then some students will ask me, okay, so what do you do about it? Why don't we give that a lot of energy? Why is that not something that we speak about more often and we carry out actions to bring the Torah and the word of Hashem to the whole world? On the one hand, yes, maybe they're right. Maybe we should be doing more. On the other hand, we still have a lot to do within Am Yisrael so that Am Yisrael will fulfill Am Yisrael's mission for the whole world. But going back to the first side of this issue, yes, maybe we should be doing more, and maybe it's not taught enough in the religious educational system, in the general Jewish educational system, that the mission of Am Yisrael is to stay within Am Yisrael, to take upon ourselves our mission, but the goal, the end goal, is for all of humanity. The end goal is universal, and maybe we should be doing more about it. There are organizations that take this mission upon themselves, and I must note that also this is something that Am Yisrael to a certain extent has done. The fact that much of the modern world has accepted many of the Sheva mitzvot bnei Noach, 7 Noahide laws, is because, or at least partially because, of the influence of Am Yisrael through Tanach, through other religions, and so on. And so we are fulfilling our mission to some extent, but that's a good question. What should be the exact, accurate balance between focusing on Am Yisrael fulfilling our mission and remembering and giving energy and attention to bringing this mission to the whole world? That's a good question. And with this, I will end and say, Shabbat Shalom. May we have a Shabbat of peace between the different lights of the Torah, even if sometimes there's a bit of a tension between them, like between the chosen people being Am Yisrael, focusing on Am Yisrael, and being universal and caring about all of humanity. Maybe there's some tension between those two, but not a contradiction. So let us bring peace and harmony between the different lights of the Torah of Hashem, and in that sense we say, Shabbat Shalom.